So first of all, sorry for the wait, everyone. You still have to wait a bit on the slides, but I hope the most important part is the speech. So if you can all hear me correctly, thank you so much for joining the presentation today, and hopefully the slides will add on later. First of all, to introduce myself, my name is Kim. I've been working for SoSafe for about 2 years already. I'm really specialized in the human factor, also called cybersecurity awareness. And for everyone that hasn't heard of SoSafe yet, I would like to start with a little introduction here as well. And I promise you the rest of the talk won't be a sales track. SoSafe is a European company, cybersecurity awareness company, started in 2018. We currently have over 4,500 customers in all kinds of industries. Public, non-public, zoos in Amsterdam, all kinds of different industries, which also makes my job so interesting. We come from behavioral science. So basically what this means is that we looked at how do people really learn best. And these practices are implemented throughout the awareness solution. So what is provided, for example, short interactive e-learning modules, continuous phishing simulations, and results on all sites. These results are tightly related to, for example, ISO certifications, DORA for the financial sector, but currently also for the NIS2. In 2018, the same year that SoSafe started, the initial NIS came in place. And as you can guess, this wasn't as effective as expected, for certain different reasons. One of the reasons was that there was no supervisory. So you could never be checked, you could never be controlled, and maybe it's me, but if you know you're never being checked, you might skip some rules, you might forget one. So currently supervisory is included in a new NIS regulation. Proactive supervisory for essential industries, and only in cases of non-compliance, supervisory for the important entities. The next one is that there are no consequences. So first of all, you're not being checked. Second of all, no consequence if you do something wrong. And currently, this is included. So you can get fines up to 10 million or 2% of your annual revenue in case of non-compliance. So if you think compliance is expensive, try non-compliance here. The last one, and personally most important one, is that currently management is included. And as everyone knows here, IT security wasn't a topic on everyone's board table. No budgets were available, it is not that important. And that is why it's good that management is accountable and they also have to guide the organization within the NIS2. Even though all those rules are in place, over the last years I've been speaking with a lot of security professionals. And they told me, well, NIS2, no, it's still not that important for us. If management is on board, no, they want to see what other organizations do first, and then we might try some things out. So for today, in the first part of the presentation, I would like to guide you through why cybersecurity is important now more than ever. And in the second part, we're going to specifically focus on the security rules of NIS2 and awareness. So looking at the current cybercrime landscape, we can see that cyber attacks are the #1 organizational-wide risks. And this is even named by the World Economic Forum. So next to the... Thank you. Yes, of course. This one. Let me think for a second where I left off. Yes. So next to the rise of the climate, attacks are named as a societal risk. For businesses, it's even #1 risk. And looking at the average cost of the cyber attack, it's 4.35 million. And this is only based on recovery costs of data, of processes. So no possible paid ransomware is included here, no reputational damage, and no possible legal consequences even. And the second thing that's included by the World Economic Forum in the top 5 risks is AI. AI and the disinformation that is led by this. And interestingly, the AI only started rising in 2022 after the rise of ChatGPT 3. And in 2024, it's expected that 300 million users worldwide will make use of AI. But in 2027, this is expected to even double. So we're literally only at the start. And we're even getting slides with it. That would be amazing. What we do every year with SoSafe as well is to identify the cybercrime trends. If it's possible, if you could, I don't know how many, but if you just click, I'll say stop. It has to be a slide with 8 trends. One more. Yes, perfect. Perfect. So as I already mentioned, AI is number 1. And this is a huge risk for users because we use it as users, but hackers also use this as a tool to exploit us as humans. They use large language models to create phishing mails 40% faster than they normally could. All kind of different languages, without any sloppy mistakes, and even gathering all the information they can from the internet to have spear phishing attacks here. Voice clones. You only need 3 seconds of someone's voice to make a proper voice clone. And lastly, deep fakes that we see increasingly being used in attacks. Not only AI, but also other techniques are developing, such as quantum hacking. Quantum hacking, for example, relates to the fact that hackers are trying to get their hands on encrypted data with the hope that in the future, quantum technology will improve and they can decrypt this data. And this might possibly even lead to the leak of European security secrets. And with the rise of technology and the rise of people, we see that cybercrime is increasingly becoming more professionalized. It's not anymore one hacker working from home, trying to get into some organizations. They're working as organizations. They're publishing their revenues online. They have HR system in place, such as our companies. They can reach bonuses. They can get fired if they don't reach their target. And just imagine, a hacker can get fired if he doesn't hack enough companies. And that is also one of the reasons why it's great that NIS2 includes a broader scope of companies. Because it's not anymore the big multinationals, it's all the smaller kind of companies. And hackers are not only exploiting us to get money, but they're also using it for hacktivism. And this can, for example, be with the tension in the world with the Ukraine war, the war in Iran. They're exploiting their techniques to not get money, but to influence a war. And with all the other global tensions coming up, such as the Olympic Games in Paris, European Championship, Germany, the elections, hackers use this to spread out disinformation and to influence us as the public. And 20 years ago, you could say, well, this is fake news. Can you still nowadays? Next to this, related to the NIS2, the public sector. This is a rise that we saw after the pandemic. In 2022, the hack on public industry was rising from 20% to 40%. It doubled. And what the risk is here is that it's not only sensitive data that's been stolen. It's also about public safety. And even more importantly, in the healthcare, it can even endanger lives. And the hard thing here with these kind of industries is that their systems are not up and running yet. There are not many security people located in certain hospitals, whereas the time to recovery is way too long and dangerous things might happen here. Next to this is that hackers are using more and more techniques. 10 years ago, you get a phishing email of a person you didn't know, and you would tell, well, I don't trust this, I'm not clicking. But currently, hackers are using pretexting. Basically, meaning is that they pre-legitimate themselves through another channel. So they will send you a message on LinkedIn saying, hi, I met you at the event. I'll send you an email in a second. You can trust it. And you get an email from the same person. Trustworthy, right? And this also leads to the next one, is that it's not only phishing anymore. It's still the predominant channel, but next to this is also social media. It's SMS, it's WhatsApp, but also working environments such as Microsoft or Slack. And all these cybercrime trends leads also to a lot of burnout cases with security professionals because there's so much going on, there's so much to take care of, and that is why it's important that we're focusing on the basic of security practices related to the NIS2. Can you please click on the next slide? Thank you. One example of combining all the tactics was based on the WPP case. Because what happened here is that hackers sent a WhatsApp message to a person. It had the picture of the CEO and the name of the CEO. And it requested them to get into a Microsoft Teams call. And he thought, well, that's the picture, that's the guy. Let's go into the Microsoft Teams call, right? In the Microsoft Teams call, deep fake footage was used of YouTube, together with a voice clone, to make sure that he trusted that it was the person. And what we can take from this case is, first of all, they combine all the tactics. But next to this, you can see that we are always the target. Humans, to exploit our emotions, to play on our trust. So what we should focus on as well is not only technology. And in the NIS2, what we can see is that it's a very broad topic. You have to have certain technology practices in place. And that is where a lot of companies are focusing on first. Fair play, because it has to be in place as well. But don't forget the human side in this. And that is why it's so important that in the current NIS, awareness is named as an essential component. You have to focus on the human factor. But for what companies does it even count? I think this is a slide that everyone has seen by now, right? So previously in the NIS direction, there was an inconsistency among all European borders, because everyone could pick themselves which company should we include into the initial NIS. So based on this, they decided to predefine this for us, and every European company should apply to this. It's split up in two different sectors. The first one being imported entities, based on your industry and based on the benchmark below. The second one being essential entities, based on the industry again and the threshold on the side. For certain rules, there are different practices in place. For example, for the fines, imported entities can be fined up to 7.4 million, whereas essential entities can be fined up to 10 million. Same as supervisory, the one is proactively being supervised, the other one only in cases of non-compliance. But what they both have in common is that awareness has the same regulation for both of them. And a little takeaway, if you're sitting here and your company is not named on the slide, the industry that you're working on, awareness is also still important for you. So looking at the NIS2 specifically, what is named for cybersecurity awareness? Quite some regulations, and number 11 and number 20 go into the trainings perspective. Perfect, if all pictures are taken, you can go to the next one. Quite fake. Just to give you with some possible help here, is I split it up into 3 different categories. So what specifically is needed for awareness? The first one being general training on the basic hygiene of cybersecurity. So this includes phishing, but of course it's broader than phishing. Also topics such as how do you safely travel for work? And with all the implementation of the technology, how do your employees use MFA, a password manager? Do they know what it is and how to use this? The second one being role-based awareness training. And myself, I'm very happy about this one, because what it means is that every person in the company has a different role, has a different responsibility. And therefore, related to it, they have different risks. A person in HR works with sensitive data, so they should be learned about the GDPR. How do you protect your data? But the real hard workers among us, such as construction workers, first of all, they don't care. And second of all, they don't need to know these topics. And very important here, management needs to be included in the trainings. So specifically the training track designed for management. The last one being continuous awareness training. So we're finally stepping away from the one-time-a-year training. You follow it as an employee, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks if you're lucky, they have forgotten all the knowledge. So first of all, for knowledge retention, it's great that you have to have regular training in place. But next to this, what you saw with the cybercrime trends, it's constantly evolving. So if you have a one-time-a-year training, you can't keep up with the trends. So if your current awareness training, for example, doesn't include QR scamming, your employees don't know about this. And some little best practices for you to take away is, first of all, as I mentioned, include a broad scope. Not only what is phishing and how to recognize this. There are more ways for hackers to use here. The second one being personalized learning paths. So as already mentioned, this will save your employees a lot of time because they don't have to follow all the trainings. And second of all, it gives a lot of relevance, because they will only get the trainings that are necessary for them and for their jobs. A context fit. The security training must include the policies within your company. Don't make it a general one. You can teach your employees a module about passwords that will say you will always need a password with more than 30 characters. Is that the rule in your company as well? So implement your policies within the training that you're given. And next to this, make it your own. Colors, logos, not another third party, because that will not give them the trust to follow it. Last one, delivering of content. If you're providing your employees with a module of 30, 35 minutes, do you really think they will press on play, stay behind their laptop, follow everything that's being said? Or do you think they press on play, take out their phone? I followed the awareness training. So look at a way of delivering content. Shortness, interactiveness, and no more passive training here. The next one being a positive culture. Positive reinforcement. Thank them for doing the trainings. And next to this, gamification to get it a bit more fun, right? Bring awareness to your users. So don't put it on the internet only, but actually send them active reminders and make sure you will bring them to the trainings. Next to this, also reporting is included. So it's not only trainings, you also have to give some results away. And what these results are, first of all, is based for employees. So employees must know who to report to and how to report. And if you're working in IT security currently, just think about it for a second. Do your users call you if they receive a weird email? Do they delete the email? Do they forward the email? What do they do? And do they even know what to do? The second one being reporting for management. So you have to give clear insights into the human risk. So it can't be anymore, we send out a newsletter every month because you have no clue who read it and if people even read it. So with the trainings, you have to provide a clear overview of what is being done when it comes to awareness. The last 2 minutes for the best practices. First of all, safe environment. People must feel safe enough to report. They received an email, they already clicked on a link, that you don't want them to log off their computer, go back home. You don't want the threshold to be too high to pick up the phone and tell the IT security team, oh, I clicked again. You have to give them the right tooling to make sure that this is of ease and they feel safe enough to do this. Next to this, insightful results. You can say, well, we've done all the trainings, okay, but what is your risk? What topics should still be included? Where are your employees having difficulties with? And what is the real risk in the organization? And lastly, inclusion of management. First of all, as already mentioned, within the training, but also with the results. You as CISO or IT security professional can have all the results in front of you, but you also have to take management with you. Let them know how their own employees are doing. Carry it out organization-wide. So lastly, as I already mentioned, looking at all the cybercrime trends, looking at the current landscape, you can see that one thing will stay the same. Hackers will still focus on people. And what we should do as organizations, besides of the NIS2, focus on them. They're the first line of attack, so we can make them the first line of defense. Thank you so much for waiting in the beginning of the presentation and not having the slides on. I hope you have a great event. Questions can come after as the next speaker can go off. Thank you so much.